Hello guys and welcome to week 16 of the Russian Football News Predictions League. Well, let's just start off by saying last week was bloody dreadful. That was about the lowest scoring week I think I've ever had on record, and this is the 5th year we've been doing this game. 27 players, so it's a low turnout. Admittedly, that's because I've been a bit late putting updates, including this week again. So apologies for that. But 7 people predicted all 8 games and got 0 points. I was lucky. I just managed to scrape a point in the second to last game. 4 people got 6 points or above. Somehow Theodore Tanyev got 10 points, so congratulations to him. So anyway guys, we've got international break coming up, so this is your last chance to claw it back for a fortnight. So let's get involved, hey? There's some cracking games this weekend. By cracking, I mean entertaining to watch, impossible to predict. Starting with Akhmat Grozny against Ural Yekaterinburg on Friday down in Chechnya. Last week I was at the game for Ural at home to Orenburg. I really thought Ural were going to be quite comfortable with scoring, and they created chance after chance after chance. They had over 70% possession. Pavel Pogrebniak himself should have had a hat-trick, but they lost 2-1. So it's a very disappointing result that yet again, another 2 goals conceded. Ural averaged just under 2 goals per game this season already. Worst defence in the league. Akhmat Grozny, well, to be fair to them, they're unbeaten in the last 2 in the league. They drew away to Dynamo Moscow 1-1 last weekend, which is not too bad a result at all. It's respectable. But they are both relatively struggling, shall we say. Ural for form, Akhmat are in the relegation zone at the moment, so I think this is going to be another draw. Given Ural's appalling efforts at keeping clean sheets, I'm just going to be fairly simple, going to go for 1-1. Okay, moving on, we have Rubin Kazan at home to Dynamo Moscow. Last weekend, Rubin, a very, very dull 0-0 draw away to Krylia Sovietov, but it is a point, and it keeps them a little bit further away from the relegation zone. They are 12th, so they're just outside the relegation playoff zone on 17 points, but they are 3 points clear of the automatic relegation zone. So it's no mean feat, it's not to be sniffed at all. Dynamo Moscow, like we say, they drew 1-1 at home to Akhmat Grozny, and they needed a 93rd minute equaliser to do that too. So I'm afraid I'm going for yet another draw. And because it's Rubin Kazan, because Dynamo Moscow are one of the lowest scorers in the league, 3rd lowest scorers with 11 goals in 15 games, no sign of Maximilian Philipp returning either, I'm going to go for 0-0. Okay, moving on. Rostov at home to Tambov. Well, Rostov, they were flying last weekend. They went 2-0 up to Alexei Yonov goals away to Krasnodar. Admittedly, Krasnodar have their European commitments, but they are still a very, very good side. 2 added time goals, 93rd and 95th minute goals only rescued a point for Krasnodar. So very encouraging performance for Rostov. But you've got to start looking at Rostov defence. They've conceded 23 goals in 15 games. They have the 2nd worst defensive record in the league, and yet they're 2nd in the table. So, obviously, as you can tell, they score a lot of goals. Tambov, 2 wins on the trot. They're out of the automatic relegation places. Did not quite see that happening. They won 2-1 away to Sochi. Yet again, Georgi Melkadze suddenly is turning into a goal machine. I think he's got 3 or 4 goals already since he joined on loan. But I really can't see them troubling Rostov at home. So I'm certainly going to go for a Rostov win here. At least 2 goals, I would say. Only small thing to say is that Evelyn Popov and Roman Yeremienko and Ragnar Sigurdsson are all suspended for Rostov, but I don't think it's going to affect them in the long run. I think they're going to win, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Rostov. Moving on, we have Spartak Moscow at home to Krylia Sovietov. Now, Spartak Moscow last weekend, I was absolutely stunned by this. Lost at home 1-0 to Arsenal Tula. Domenico Tedesco's come in, and he only just conceded 1 goal in his 3rd game in charge, 2 clean sheets to start off with. 0-0 at home to Rubin Kazan on his debut was sort of understandable. He's going to be cautious. He is a defensive manager. Arsenal Tula hadn't won in 7 games. So I was really, really surprised by this one. Krylia, as we say, they drew 0-0 at home to Rubin Kazan. I can't see Spartak being tripped up yet again. So I'm gonna tip them to win this one. I'm only going to go for 1-0. Just I'm being slightly on the cautious side because they just can't afford to have another embarrassing home defeat. So caution first for Tedesco, I'd say. Right, so next up, Oldenburg at home to Ufa. Oldenburg, well, like I say, good win away in Yekaterinburg, 2-1 last weekend. They were extremely efficient. They were good on the counter-attack. They only had, like I say, 29% possession, I think it was, all game. They made a lot of clearances, but they were efficient on the ball, shall we say. Ufa 1-1 at home to Lokomotiv Moscow. Very, very good result. Came back from 1-0 down as well, so that's a very valuable point for them. Ufa do stay out of the relegation zone on 17 points. Oldenburg, you'd have to back them here. You'd have to back them here, really. Oldenburg are up in 8th at the moment. So I'm going to go for them. And Georgi Despotovic is back from suspension. That's a big thing for them. They won away from home without their top goal scorer. So I'm going to go for an Oldenburg win. Ufa away from home, I think was it 2 years and counting, with either one win on the road or none, I forget. It's no more than 1 or 2 wins in the last 2 years away from home. It's a phenomenally appalling record on the road. Oldenburg to win. I'm only going to go for 1-0. Again, I'm being on the safe side, but it's all Oldenburg need to do. Ufa are not an enterprising side who won't threaten, I wouldn't have thought, a great deal. Arsenal Tula at home to Zenit St. Petersburg. Interesting, this one, really, given Arsenal Tula's record before last weekend was so poor, and given that Zenit are flying at the top of the table. They've only conceded 8 goals all season. One of them, though, was last weekend. They went behind to Nikola Vlasic's goal, but they did come back to draw 1-1. Arsenal Tula, well, like I say, they beat Spartak Moscow away from home, so 2 surprising results. Not what you'd expect for those two. It's tempting to even suggest that Arsenal might nick something here, but I just don't quite see it happening. Zenit are, well, they have had a European game in midweek, but I just think they're going to be too good. I think Arsenal may well get a goal, so I'm going to go for 2-1. No, I'm not. What am I talking about? I don't think Arsenal will score. I'm probably going to regret that. I hate it when I change my prediction halfway through a video. I'm going to go for just 1-0, actually. I was going to go for 2-1. I don't think it's going to be a huge margin, basically. So I'll go for 1-0. Sochi at home to CSKA Moscow. Well, Sochi, very disappointing home defeat. And they still, it's quite remarkable this, but they still have only 1 win at home in 6 games. It's fairly poor, to say the least. But in those 6 games, they've only conceded 7 goals, which is not bad at all, considering a newly promoted side as well. CSKA Moscow, well, they were unlucky not to get a point. I say unlucky, I mean they were certainly equals with Zenit last weekend, except they couldn't get 3 points. But on the road to Sochi, I'm starting to see cracks with Sochi. They're bottom of the table again now. I thought they were climbing up, and I thought they were going to make themselves pretty safe. But it's a tough one. This really is not going to be much more than a very, very narrow win. They do have some injury problems resolved, CSKA Moscow as well. Nababkin and Georgi Shenikov, they're back from injury. Alan Zagorev's almost back from injury as well, but Yakubiel is suspended for being sent off in St. Petersburg last weekend, quite unfairly, to be honest. Okay, so Sochi, CSKA Moscow, what do we think the score will be? I'm only going to go for 1-0 to CSKA Moscow. I know it's not exciting, but then again, away wins very, very rarely are. And then we have the big fixture of the weekend. Lokomotiv Moscow, 3rd in the table, at home to Krasnodar, 4th in the table. Lokomotiv last weekend, like I say, 1-1 draws with Ufa. They were desperately unlucky not to get a point against Juventus last night in the Champions League. And Juventus, honestly, they relied on Douglas Costa, won the goal in the 93rd minute. So the Lokomotiv can hold their heads high. But it is deflating to have that. Krasnodar, well, they were almost stunned, like I say, 2-2 at home to Rostov last weekend. So what do we see happening here? Quite frankly, I think this has got a draw written all over it. The two big teams. They cannot afford to lose ground on each other. The stakes are too high. They've both had slightly concerning results. Krasnodar have got to play tonight, Europa League. So I can only see a draw in this one. They have some fabulous players. And Eder, to be fair to him, he's taken a lot of stink since he's moved to Russia, but I think he was very impressive. So I'm going to go for... tempted to say 0-0, to be honest. But I'm going to go for 1-1. I think it's going to be pretty even, and that's how I see it panning out. Okay, guys, good luck. Get your predictions in as quickly as you can. Please help me remind everybody else. Like I say, the Facebook function for scheduling posts to remind people has changed, and I honestly still can't work it out. So please help me out. Just tell anybody, nudge them, give them a reminder, get your predictions in. The deadline is tomorrow, because we have Akhmat against Ural, which will kick off at 4:30 in the afternoon UK time. So you don't rely on it till after work on Friday. Get them in. Good luck, guys, and let's do better than last week. We can't do much worse.